The least fun fight ever. Movsar, the snooze fest Evloev. At least that's what Dana White thinks about him. In a recent podcast interview, Movsar Evloev dropped some substantial evidence that Dana White is checked out from a lot of these fights, specifically Movsar, and then giving him unbacked criticism, which made no damn sense at the time. Now we know why. So in today's video, we're going to play Dana White's criticism of Movsar. We're also going to check out his podcast clip. We're going to kind of discuss why I think Dana White at times is checked out of these matchups. And also, cherry on top of the video, we're going to predict what's next for Movsar, because I think I have a good fight for him next, and I expect him to be in a top-tier contender matchup. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. We're doing no dilly-dallying. We're jumping right into it. We got Dana White up to bat first. We're going to play his clip here talking about Movsar Evloev.
The Neil's any
look talking about Movsar Evloev against Arnold Allen, that fight.
I thought you were talking about Neil Magny. All right. Yeah. I mean, what's his win streak like? He's on.
I think he's like 18, 19.
Yeah, 18 or 19, and yeah, that place sucked the wind right out of the fucking. That fight sucked the wind right out of the arena tonight. So. It might bum him out, but he's got to deal with it. Yeah, that was the least fun fight anybody's ever seen. So
that take is just not true. Least fun fight anybody's ever seen is just completely wrong. It was a good matchup. There was some controversy with the knees, but there was some nice striking exchanges. It was two high-tier prospects / contenders on the come-up in the featherweight division. To say that is like if you tuned in just for like a couple exchanges and maybe there were some shots missed, because Dana White wasn't paying any attention to this fight whatsoever. And you can see, right, as it started, Dana was stalling a bit because he really couldn't remember much from the fight. And he's like, oh yeah, I think it sucked. Let me just go with that narrative. Let's push that it sucked. These type of statements by Dana White, the president of the company, are extremely powerful. So to have unbacked claims and just simply being completely wrong about what went down in fights, besides it being an embarrassment since you're the president of the promotion, it also can do damage to these fighters' images, man. And it hurts the Movsar Evloev UFC relationship, because if this is what Dana White thinks about him, and I'm assuming Dana White's not going back and rewatching Movsar's performance, now future matchups, maybe Evloev is getting screwed over just a tad. I don't like this. I don't like this, man. It pushed a lie right away, but forget about what it does for Movsar, because he's going to prove himself when fights come to be. It shows that Dana White is not super into MMA at this point. A bit checked out for sure, and doing other things during the fight. But what is he doing during the fights? He's sitting right cage side. What could he possibly be doing besides watching a UFC fight? Like, what else could be better than that? Well, Movsar Evloev is going to tell you what he was doing. Now, this is in Russian, so there's going to be some translations on screen. Actually, I might have to shrink this down so it doesn't risk cutting anything off, because I want to make sure you guys can see everything here. So, let's play the clip right now.
Потом Дэйна почему-то так сказал. Не знаю, может, он меня как-то простимулировать хотел. Или как-то мои чемпионские амбиции чуть-чуть подтушить. Потому что уже понимает, да, что я уже около. Потом с Дэном Лэмбертом мы общались после боя.
С владельцем ATT, правильно?
Ну да, хозяина ATT. Он говорит, Movsar, говорит, я рядом сидел с Даной Уайтом во время, как твой бой проходил. И он смотрел там их местный футбол американский. Во время моего боя он, видимо, где-то ставку поставил, может, не знаю. Возможно, он даже полностью не увидел мой бой. Может быть, он как-то обратил на мой бой внимание после того, как были запрещенные удары, там, когда еще 1 минута осталась.
А вопрос не задавал ты ему, Дэна? В чем дело?
Я, да, закидывал, отмечал, но он же, как сказал, это был не самый, да, прикольный бой вечера, не самый веселый. Я ему говорю, я не веселить тебя, тут сюда приехал. Пояс, цель, пояс заберу, и дальше будет видно. Потом Дэйна почему-то так сказал.
All right, so the clip there was pretty much unveiling that Dana White had been gambling during this fight on the card. He had a bet placed for a playoff football game. Maybe it was like the 49ers game. I don't know the exact one, but maybe. He had some money thrown down during the fight. He wasn't paying attention to what was a super high-stakes UFC fight where the winner would be pushed towards the upper echelon of the division. You're at work, Dana White. You gambled during the week. He's a blackjack addict. We all know it, okay? You're gambling during the week, doing your thing, going to the casinos, betting on sports, what have you. But it's a freaking work night. And I know you've been doing this a long time, Dana, but it is completely disrespectful. And honestly, it's a problem to be betting during your work hours. That should be illegal in the freaking contracts of all your employees that are working that night. Is Daniel Cormier allowed to be sitting on the side and betting on the damn football game? Is John Anik betting on football games during the fight? Maybe he's got bets placed, but he's certainly not watching them during the UFC fights. This right here is disappointing for Movsar because he gets disregarded by Dana White. And there really hasn't been a ton of buzz about Movsar since this point. And there are a percentage of the fans that Dana White's word might as well be the word of God. They're like the absolute religious nuts of the organization. And Dana is the pope of all the buffoons. Because Dana can say something and people take it as fact. So now Movsar's a boring fighter, least fun fight. It was a very good matchup. Go back and rewatch it. It really wasn't a bad fight. And to me, these claims were BS. Movsar showed that Dana White is not paying attention during his fight because he's watching American football. He's exposed for that. So then to drop the barb of, oh, that fight sucked, to me is just completely irresponsible and a disrespect. It's a complete disrespect. Forget about anything else. It's a complete disrespect. If Dana White was honest, he was like, oh, yeah, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. You didn't watch the fight. At least give him a BS positive compliment instead of going negative. I don't understand why that's the case here. You say least fun fight of the night when you're not watching. You're looking at something else. Like, how can you have a take on something that you're not paying attention to? It's like if I was going to watch UFC fights, give play-by-play, and then talk about who I thought won. But during 90% of the stream, I'm going to be watching professional football. I look up once, oh, that fight sucked. Maybe Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, I didn't watch most of the fight. I saw him clinch a little bit. That fight sucked. Come on, man. Come on, Dana White. Do better. Do better. As the president of the UFC, Dana White needs to be held to a higher standard. You can't be gambling during these damn fights. Come on. He's done it before. This isn't the first time. During another massive fight, I don't remember the exact matchup to be fair, but he was betting on a Canelo Alvarez fight, and he was watching boxing during the UFC fight. So a very Dana White thing to do. This isn't the first time, and if he is going to continue to do things like this, then please don't disrespect the guy and absolutely rip his reputation apart in the post-fight press conference by putting out absolute BS. Now, the reason I think Dana White is at this point doing these things is because he is checked out from the sport of mixed martial arts, having putting so much time in, making his millions on millions. He is not the same level of fan that he was in 2001, 2003, 2005, 2010, what have you, okay? He doesn't have that same level of fanhood. He doesn't have that same mentality about it. And on top of it, I do think Dana White is a degenerate gambler. He gambles with Steve Will Do It. We've seen him gamble with other people around Vegas. And, you know, when you have a lot of money, you got a lot of money to blow. Personally, I find it hard to understand. Dana, you got millions on millions. Why do I got to fucking go risk $500,000 to make another $500K when I'm taking millions on millions home guaranteed? I don't really understand that level of degeneracy from such a wealthy individual. So I think it's a gambling problem that Dana White has. And I don't know. I mean, gambling problems when you're extremely rich is, you know, much money's in the bank account. I'd assume Dana's set forever, but maybe it could spiral out of control. I hope not, though. I'm not wishing bad upon him. Another reason he's checked out is because his focus is on the damn Power Slap League. I don't know why Dana White's so drawn towards Power Slap. He pushes it all over the damn UFC social medias. As a UFC fan, I view Power Slap as a circus freak show. I think it's funny. Like if you told me at the, you know, State Fair in Florida, they're doing a Power Slap competition and I was there, right? I would go watch. Sure, I'm going to go check these guys slap the shit out of each other. But it's like side entertainment, you know, hillbilly entertainment, redneck entertainment, which is cool, which is fun. But to try and turn it into a massive professional combat sport still blows my mind. I mean, supposedly the numbers are doing extremely well. We don't know the truth behind it. Tik Tok numbers and actually having like a valuable product don't go hand in hand. So Dana White, I think his focus is elsewhere. His addiction to gambling really took a hold of him here in this fight, and he needs to do better. He needs to not be dropping BS narratives on fighters like Movsar Evloev, who are so close to the top of the weight class, and, you know, he gets spoiled a little bit. Movsar has been asking for a UFC fight, so now it's time to talk about what I think is next. He's been trying to get a UFC fight. He said that they were in talks for something, but now he's being shoved back all the way to August. He wants to fight sooner. He says that he's ready. I think Movsar Evloev needs to be put into a high-stakes spot. I think a perfect matchup is Aljamain Sterling, who recently debuted in the UFC featherweight division and put on a dominant display over Calvin Kattar. It would be a very intriguing matchup because both guys have very solid grappling skills, and it would be a chance for Movsar Evloev to beat somebody who was a former world champion and also a very household name in MMA. Though Movsar has a nice win over Arnold Allen is a quality contender and a fun fighter for sure. Not necessarily a household name with the casual fans. Now, Aljamain Sterling, though he's not loved by the casual fans, Aljamain is still a face that the majority of people who've watched any UFC will know. And Movsar would have a chance to take him out. And I think Movsar actually has a great chance of beating Aljamain Sterling. I think that's a real cool matchup, and I'd be curious to see how the stylistic grappling ensues in that fight. So I would assume that that's a fight to look to. We don't know if it's going to be in August now instead of, maybe July. That'd probably be better for Movsar. I think it could potentially be on a UFC pay-per-view card. I'd assume at the very least it's a featured bout of the night. It could even potentially be a co-main event. If Aljamain Sterling is not next, I would assume it's because they're trying to set up maybe an Aljo Volkanovski fight. But I think Volkanovski has said he's planning on waiting till the end of the year and then getting his rematch versus Ilia Topuria. So I think Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling kind of is more of a stars-aligned matchup than anything else. It's crazy that Movsar Evloev was the debut opponent of Diego Lopez, but Diego Lopez is so much more of a household name now than Movsar Evloev, even though Evloev got the close decision over him, and especially because it was on, just days' notice. I think it did kind of damage the stock of Movsar, but we still have to recognize Movsar Evloev is an elite contender who's on the come up right now. And I think on the cusp of a world title shot, it's just he needs to get some love from the American fans. How does he do that? Maybe knocking out Aljo, maybe beating Aljo, getting some finishes. A key problem with Movsar Evloev, why it's like fans are not really that excited to watch him consistently, is the fact that he's not a finisher. This is the untold truth of it all. He is not a finisher, and it sucks, but he's not. He needs to get some finishes. I hope that he gets some finishes. Movsar Evloev, I'm sorry that Dana White wasn't paying attention, my boy. Dana's got a little too much of a gambling addiction on the side. He's getting checked out of some of these fights, and to me, it's a problem. So Movsar, justice for Movsar moving forward. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's reaction video. Make sure you all smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I appreciate you all tuning into the show. Keep it locked in right here on the MMA Experts channel. Daily content coming. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.